Hi, my beautiful family. Welcome back to Life-Changing True Stories. Today I bring you a powerful and deeply loving story. Sofia Martinez stared at the white envelope on her desk, her hands trembling slightly as she read the words she had typed just an hour ago. The resignation letter felt heavier than it should, each sentence a weight pressing against her chest. She had worked at Sterling Enterprises for 3 years, building her reputation as one of the sharpest financial analysts in the company. But now, everything felt impossible. The late afternoon sun streamed through the windows of the Chicago office, casting golden light across the modern workspace. Sofia adjusted her glasses and took a deep breath, remembering the exact moment when everything had become complicated. It was 6 months ago, during the quarterly review meeting, when Cameron Blake had looked at her analysis and smiled. That smile had changed everything. Cameron Blake was not just her boss. He was the CEO of Sterling Enterprises, self-made millionaire who had built his investment firm from nothing into one of the most respected names in the industry. At 38, he was brilliant, driven, and completely dedicated to his work. He was also the man Sofia had fallen hopelessly in love with. She knew it was wrong. She had tried to fight it, tried to focus only on her work, tried to convince herself that what she felt was just admiration for his professional achievements. But the truth was undeniable. Every morning when she arrived at the office, her heart raced at the possibility of seeing him. Every meeting where they discussed market trends and investment strategies felt electric. Every accidental brush of hands when passing documents sent shivers down her spine, and that was exactly why she had to leave. Sofia gathered her courage and walked toward the executive floor. Her black heels clicked against the marble tiles as she made her way to Cameron's office. His assistant, Patricia, looked up and smiled warmly. "Good afternoon, Sofia. Do you have an appointment?" "No, but I need to speak with Cameron. It's important." Patricia glanced at her computer screen. "He's just finishing a call. Give me one moment." Sofia waited, her heart pounding so loudly she was certain everyone could hear it. The envelope felt like it was burning in her hand. She rehearsed what she would say, keeping it professional and brief. She would hand him the letter, thank him for the opportunity, and leave before her emotions betrayed her. "He'll see you now," Patricia said. Gesturing toward the door, the confession Cameron's office was exactly as she remembered, sophisticated. Minimalist, with floor-to-ceiling windows, overlooking the city skyline. He stood by the window, phone still in hand, but he ended the call as soon as she entered. "Sofia," he said, and something in his voice made her pause. "I was hoping you'd come by today." She forced herself to stay calm. "I have something for you." Cameron turned to face her fully, and she noticed the intensity in his dark brown eyes. He was wearing a navy blue suit that fit him perfectly, his tie loosened slightly as it always was by the end of the day. There was something different about him today, something she couldn't quite place. "Before you say anything," he began, walking toward his desk, "I need to tell you something." Sofia felt her resolve wavering. "Cameron, please. Let me do this." She stepped forward and placed the envelope on his desk. He looked at it but didn't touch it. "What is this?" "My resignation letter. I'm giving my 2 weeks' notice." The silence that followed felt endless. Cameron stared at the envelope, then at her, his expression unreadable. Why? The single word carried so much weight. Sofia had prepared for this question. But now that she was standing in front of him, all her carefully crafted explanations disappeared. She couldn't tell him the truth. She couldn't admit that she was leaving because staying in the same office, seeing him every day, working alongside him while pretending her heart wasn't breaking, had become unbearable. "I've received another offer," she lied. "It's a good opportunity for my career." Cameron picked up the envelope but didn't open it. Instead, he walked around the desk until he was standing directly in front of her, close enough that she could smell his cologne. "That's not the real reason," her breath caught. "Of course it is. Why else would I leave?" "Because you feel the same thing I feel." Time seemed to stop. Sofia's mind went blank, unable to process what she had just heard. She must have misunderstood. There was no way Cameron Blake, CEO of Sterling Enterprises, was saying what she thought he was saying. "I don't understand," she whispered. Cameron set the envelope down on the edge of his desk and took another step closer. "I've been trying to find the right moment to tell you this for months. Every day I come to work hoping to see you, hoping for a reason to call you into a meeting. hoping for just a few minutes where I can pretend that what I feel isn't completely inappropriate. Sophia felt tears forming in her eyes. Cameron, you can't say these things. Why not? Because I'm your boss? Because it breaks every professional rule we're supposed to follow? His voice was raw with emotion. I know all that, Sophia. I've spent 6 months trying to convince myself to ignore what I feel. But seeing this resignation letter, knowing you're planning to leave, I can't stay silent anymore. What are you saying? He reached up and gently touched her face, his hand warm against her cheek. I'm saying that I'm in love with you. I'm completely, hopelessly, ridiculously in love with you. I love the way you analyze market data, like you're solving the world's greatest puzzle. I love how you bite your lip when you're concentrating. I love your laugh, your intelligence, your passion for your work. I love everything about you, and the thought of you walking out of this office and out of my life is unbearable. Tears were streaming down Sophia's face now. This is insane. We work together. You're my boss. People will talk. They'll say terrible things. They'll think I only got my position because of you. Then I'll make it clear that's not true. Your talent speaks for itself, Sophia. Everyone in this company knows how brilliant you are. That has nothing to do with how I feel about you. But my resignation, I'm rejecting it. Cameron picked up the envelope and without opening it, tore it in half. I won't accept it. I can't accept it. Sophia stared at the torn pieces of paper, then back at him. Everything she had believed about keeping her feelings hidden, about maintaining professional distance, about protecting her career by leaving, all of it crumbled in that moment. What do we do now? She asked, her voice barely audible. We figure it out together. We'll talk to human resources, make sure everything is documented properly, follow every protocol. If we need to, I'll transfer you to a different department so I'm not directly supervising you. Whatever it takes to make this right, people will still judge us. Let them. Cameron's thumb gently wiped away her tears. I've spent my entire life building this company, proving myself, earning respect. But none of it means anything if I lose you. I'd rather face gossip and judgment than spend the rest of my life wondering what could have been. The first kiss Sophia looked into his eyes and saw everything she had been afraid to hope for. This wasn't just attraction or a workplace crush. This was real. This was the kind of love that changed everything, that made risks worth taking, that transformed separate lives into something greater together. I love you too, she whispered. I've loved you for so long and I was so scared. Cameron smiled and it was the most beautiful thing she had ever seen. Don't be scared anymore. When he kissed her, it felt like coming home. All the months of suppressed feelings, all the stolen glances, and carefully maintained distance, all of it dissolved into this perfect moment. His arms wrapped around her, pulling her close. And she melted into his embrace. The kiss was tender at first, almost hesitant, as if they were both still afraid this might not be real. But then it deepened, filled with all the emotion they had been holding back. Sophia's hands moved to his chest, feeling his heartbeat racing as fast as her own. When they finally pulled apart, both of them were breathless. This is really happening, Sophia said, still trying to process everything. What is it? And I promise you, we'll handle whatever comes next together. Cameron rested his forehead against hers. No more hiding, no more pretending. We'll do this the right way. What about tomorrow? What about the office? Tomorrow, we talk to human resources first thing in the morning. We'll be completely transparent about everything. Then we'll figure out the logistics. But tonight, right now, can we just be two people who finally admitted they're in love? Sophia laughed through her tears. Yes, we can do that. They stood there in his office as the sun set over Chicago, holding each other, neither one wanting to let go. For the first time in months, Sophia felt at peace. The fear and anxiety that had driven her to write that resignation letter had been replaced by something far more powerful: hope. Outside the office windows, the city lights began to twinkle like stars. Inside, two hearts that had been hiding their feelings finally beat in harmony. The road ahead would not be easy. There would be challenges, questions, and people who would doubt them. But in that moment, wrapped in Cameron's arms, Sophia knew one thing with absolute certainty. This love was worth fighting for. Sophia woke up the next morning with a mixture of excitement and dread churning in her stomach. She had barely slept, replaying every moment of yesterday's confession in her mind. Cameron had called her late last night just to hear her voice, and they had talked for hours about everything and nothing. It felt surreal, like a dream she was afraid to wake up from. She chose her outfit carefully that morning, settling on a professional gray suit with a white blouse. She wanted to look confident and capable, knowing that today would change everything. As she applied her makeup, she practiced what she would say to human resources, trying to sound calm and rational about a situation that felt anything but. The drive to Sterling Enterprises felt longer than usual. Every red light seemed to last forever, giving her more time to second-guess herself. What if they had made a mistake? What if going public with their relationship destroyed both of their careers? What if the board of directors demanded Cameron choose between the company and her? But then she remembered the way he had looked at her. The certainty in his voice when he said he loved her, and her doubts quieted. Some things were worth the risk. Cameron was already waiting in the lobby when she arrived. He looked tired, as if he had slept as little as she had, but his face lit up when he saw her. He walked over, and for a moment Sophia thought he might kiss her right there in front of everyone. Instead, he took her hand and squeezed it gently. "Ready?" he asked. "As ready as I'll ever be." They walked together to the Human Resources Department on the 5th floor. Janet Rodriguez, the Director of Human Resources, looked surprised to see both of them entering her office together so early in the morning. "Cameron, Sophia, good morning. I wasn't expecting both of you. Is everything all right?" Cameron closed the door behind them, and they both sat down. "Janet, we need to report a relationship. Sophia and I have developed personal feelings for each other, and we want to handle this properly." Janet's eyebrows rose, but to her credit, she remained professional. "I appreciate you coming forward. How long has this been going on?" "We just acknowledged our feelings yesterday," Sophia explained. "Nothing has happened before that would compromise our professional relationship, but we wanted to be transparent immediately." Janet pulled out some paperwork and began making notes. "Given that Cameron is your direct supervisor and the CEO, this does present some complications. We'll need to implement some changes to ensure there's no conflict of interest or appearance of favoritism." The next hour, they discussed the options. Sophia would be transferred to a different department, reporting to a different manager. Her compensation and position would remain the same, but she would no longer work directly under Cameron. They would also need to sign documentation, acknowledging the relationship and agreeing to maintain professional conduct in the workplace. "I have to ask," Janet said, looking at both of them seriously. "Are you both certain about this? Office romances, especially between executives and employees, can be extremely complicated. The scrutiny will be intense." Cameron reached over and took Sophia's hand. "I've never been more certain of anything in my life." Sophia nodded. "Neither have I." Janet smiled for the first time since they had entered. "Then I wish you both the best. We'll process the paperwork today, and Sophia, you'll start in the investment strategy department on Monday. That gives us a few days to make the transition smooth." As they left Janet's office, Sophia felt like a weight had been lifted from her shoulders. They had done it. They had taken the first official step toward building a life together, but as they walked through the hallways, Sophia noticed something that made her stomach sink. People were staring. Whispers followed them. The news had somehow already begun to spread. The storm of gossip by lunchtime, the entire office knew. Sophia sat in the cafeteria with her colleague and friend, Rachel Torres, who had pulled her aside with wide eyes and urgent questions. "Is it true? You and Cameron Blake?" Sophia nodded, trying to eat her salad even though her appetite had disappeared. "Yes, it's true." "Sophia, this is huge. I mean, he's the CEO. How did this even happen?" "It just did. We didn't plan it, Rachel. Feelings developed, and we decided to be honest about them instead of hiding." Rachel leaned closer, lowering her voice. "People are talking. I've heard some really nasty comments in the break room. Victoria Lane from accounting is telling everyone you slept your way to your position. Gregory from legal says this is exactly why women shouldn't be in positions of power, because they'll use relationships to get ahead." Sophia's hands clenched around her fork. "That's not what happened. I earned my position through my work, long before anything developed between Cameron and me. I know that, and anyone who's worked with you knows that. But you know how people are. They see what they want to see. The afternoon only got worse." Sophia's transfer to the investment strategy department had been announced. and rumors spread that it was because she had been caught in an inappropriate relationship. She overheard two junior analysts discussing her in the hallway, their voices carrying further than they realized. I heard she wrote him a resignation letter and he rejected it. Probably threatened to fire her if she left him. No way. I heard she's been manipulating him for months, using her looks to get confidential information about company strategy. Sophia wanted to scream. None of it was true, but defending herself felt impossible. How could she prove that her love for Cameron was genuine? How could she demonstrate that every achievement in her career had been earned through merit and hard work? When she returned to her desk, she found an anonymous note tucked into her keyboard. It was typed, cold and cruel. Gold digger. You're an embarrassment to professional women everywhere. She crumpled the note and threw it in the trash, but the words burned in her mind. Tears threatened, but she refused to cry at her desk. She would not give whoever wrote that note the satisfaction. Cameron's dilemma, meanwhile. Cameron was facing his own storm. The board of directors had called an emergency meeting demanding an explanation for his relationship with an employee. He sat in the conference room, facing 7 stern faces who had invested millions into his company. Thomas Hartwell, chairman of the board, spoke first. Cameron, we've built this company on principles of integrity and professionalism. This relationship creates serious concerns about favoritism, harassment claims, and company reputation. I understand your concerns, Cameron replied calmly. But I want to be clear about several things. First, Sophia Martinez is one of the most talented analysts this company has ever employed. Her work speaks for itself. Second, we have followed every protocol required by human resources. She's being transferred to eliminate any direct reporting relationship. Third, our relationship is consensual and based on genuine feelings, not workplace manipulation. Another board member, Patricia Simmons, shook her head. It doesn't matter what the reality is, Cameron. It's about perception. Clients are already asking questions. 2 of our major investors called this morning expressing concern about leadership judgment. Are you asking me to end the relationship? The room fell silent. Finally, Thomas spoke. We're asking you to consider what's best for the company. You've spent 15 years building sterling enterprises. Are you willing to risk it all for an office romance? Cameron stood up, his jaw set with determination. Sophia Martinez is not an office romance. She's the woman I love. And yes, I'm willing to risk everything for her. If the board believes my personal life should dictate my ability to lead this company, then perhaps it's time to discuss succession planning. But I will not sacrifice my chance at genuine happiness to appease gossip and prejudice. The board members exchanged glances. No one had expected Cameron to be so resolute. We're not asking for your resignation, Thomas said carefully. But we need assurance that this situation won't create legal liability or damage company reputation. You have my word that everything will be handled professionally and ethically. Sophia is being transferred. We've documented everything with human resources. What more do you want? Patricia leaned forward. We want to meet her. If she's as talented as you claim, if this relationship is as genuine as you say, then let us see for ourselves. Cameron considered this. It was unusual, but not unreasonable. I'll discuss it with Sophia, but I want your word that she'll be treated fairly, not subjected to an interrogation designed to discredit her. Agreed, Thomas said. We'll arrange a professional meeting next week, the breaking point that evening. Sophia stood in Cameron's downtown apartment, looking out at the Chicago skyline as the sun set in brilliant shades of orange and pink. She had come straight from work, still in her gray suit, emotionally exhausted from a day of stares and whispers. Cameron came up behind her and wrapped his arms around her waist. Talk to me. What happened today? She leaned back against him, drawing strength from his presence. People hate me. They think I'm using you, that I'm some kind of manipulative gold digger who slept her way to success. I found an anonymous note on my desk calling me an embarrassment. She felt Cameron's body tense with anger. Who wrote it? I don't know. It was typed, no signature. But Cameron, it's not just one person. It's the whole office. Even people I thought were friends are looking at me differently. He turned her around to face him, his hands gentle on her shoulders. I'm so sorry. I knew there would be gossip, but I didn't realize it would be this cruel. Then it's not just me. The board called you in today, didn't they? Cameron nodded. They have concerns. They want to meet you next week. Assess the situation for themselves. Sophia pulled away from him, wrapping her arms around herself. This is exactly what I was afraid of. We're destroying everything we've worked for. Your reputation, my career, the company's stability. Maybe I should have just left when I wrote that resignation letter. Don't say that. Why not? It's true. If I had just walked away, none of this would be happening. You'd still have the board's full confidence. I wouldn't be facing harassment at work, and everything would be fine. Except we'd both be miserable, Cameron said firmly. Sophia, look at me. She turned to face him and saw the fierce determination in his eyes. I don't care what the board thinks. I don't care what gossip spreads through the office. The only thing I care about is you and what we have together. Yes, this is hard. Yes, people are judging us. But giving up isn't the answer. Then what is? He took both of her hands in his. We fight. We prove them wrong. We show everyone that our relationship is built on respect, love, and genuine partnership. We let your work speak for itself. And most importantly, we don't let their negativity poison what we have. Sophia felt tears sliding down her cheeks. I love you, but I'm scared. What if it doesn't get better? What if this destroys both of us? Cameron pulled her close, holding her tightly. Then we'll rebuild. Together. Because you're worth more to me than any company, any reputation, any amount of money. I chose you, Sophia. I will always choose you. She buried her face in his chest, letting herself cry, releasing all the stress and fear of the day. And as Cameron held her, gently stroking her hair and murmuring reassurances, she felt something shift inside her. The fear didn't disappear completely, but it was joined by something stronger, determination. They had come too far to give up now. Whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together. The office could gossip, the board could question, the anonymous note writers could spread their poison. None of it would break what they had built. As the last light faded from the sky and the city lights began to glow, Sophia made a decision. She would go to that board meeting. She would face them with her head held high, armed with her accomplishments and her truth. She would show them all that she was exactly who Cameron said she was. Brilliant, talented, and worthy of love. Tomorrow would bring new challenges. But tonight, wrapped in Cameron's arms, she let herself believe that love really could conquer all. 3 weeks had passed since Cameron's confession, and while the gossip hadn't completely died down, things had started to normalize. Sophia had settled into her new position in the investment strategy department, where her analysis of emerging markets had already impressed her new supervisor. The board meeting had gone better than expected, with Patricia Simmons actually complimenting Sophia's presentation on portfolio diversification. But on a gray Monday morning in October, everything changed again. Sophia was reviewing quarterly reports when Rachel burst into her office. Her face flushed with excitement and concern. You need to see this, Rachel said. Pulling up a business news website on Sophia's computer, the headline made, Sophia's blood run cold. Former Sterling Enterprises executive returns to Chicago. Rumored to be joining competitive investment firm. Below the headline was a photograph of a stunning woman with long dark hair and sharp green eyes. Alina Winters. According to the article, she had been Cameron's second-in-command 5 years ago, before leaving to work in New York. But what made Sophia's stomach twist was the final paragraph. Sources close to Winters suggest her return to Chicago may be motivated by more than just business opportunities. Winters and Blake were rumored to have had a close personal relationship before her departure, though neither party ever confirmed the speculation. Did you know about this? Rachel asked carefully. Sophia shook her head, unable to speak. Cameron had mentioned Alina in passing once, describing her as a brilliant strategist who had helped build Sterling Enterprises in its early years. But he had never mentioned any personal connection before Sophia could process this information. Her phone buzzed with a text from Cameron. Can you come to my office? We need to talk. The truth about Alana Cameron was standing by his window when Sophia entered, his posture tense. He turned as soon as he heard the door close, and she could see the worry in his eyes. You saw the article, he said. It wasn't a question, yes. Is it true? Did you have a relationship with her? Cameron ran a hand through his hair, a gesture Sophia recognized as his way of dealing with stress. It's complicated. Alina and I worked closely together for 3 years. We built this company side by side. There was attraction, chemistry, moments where it felt like something might develop between us. but did it. We kissed once at a company celebration after we secured our first major client. It was impulsive, fueled by success and champagne. The next day, we both agreed it had been a mistake, that our professional relationship was too valuable to risk. Sophia felt a knot forming in her chest. Why didn't you tell me about her? Because there was nothing to tell. She left for New York 5 years ago, and we haven't spoken in over a year. What happened between us, or almost happened, was so far in the past that it didn't seem relevant. But she's back now. And according to the article, she might be returning because of you. Cameron crossed the room and took Sophia's hands. I don't care why she's back. The only woman I want is standing right in front of me. Sophia wanted to believe him, but doubt had planted itself in her mind. Cameron, she helped you build this company. She understands your world in ways I never will. What if seeing her again makes you realize what you gave up? That's not going to happen. How can you be so sure? Because what I feel for Alina is respect and gratitude. What I feel for you is love. They're not even in the same category. Before Sophia could respond, Cameron's phone rang. He glanced at the screen, and his expression hardened. It's Alina. The room felt suddenly cold. Are you going to answer it? Cameron looked at Sophia, then back at the phone. He let it go to voicemail. Whatever she wants can wait. Right now, you're my priority. But they both knew that Elena's return would not be that simple. The confrontation 2 days later, Lena Winters walked into Sterling Enterprises like she had never left. She was even more impressive in person than in her photographs, wearing a designer suit that screamed success and confidence. She stopped by Cameron's office without an appointment. And Patricia, remembering her from years ago, let her through. Sophia happened to be in Cameron's office when Alina entered, discussing a client proposal. The moment Alina saw them together, her expression flickered with something Sophia couldn't quite identify. Surprise? Disappointment? Calculation? Cameron, Alina said warmly, as if there wasn't another woman in the room. It's been too long. Cameron stood, his body language professional but distant. Alina, this is unexpected. Is it? I told you I'd be back in Chicago eventually. Elena's eyes finally shifted to Sophia, assessing her with a gaze that felt invasive. And you must be the famous Sophia Martinez. I've heard quite a bit about you. Sophia stood, refusing to be intimidated. All good things, I hope. Alina smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. Of course, Cameron always speaks highly of his employees. The emphasis on employees was subtle, but unmistakable. Sophia felt her temper flare. Actually, I'm in the investment strategy department now. But I appreciate your interest in my career. Cameron stepped between them, literally and figuratively. Alina, what brings you here? I wanted to discuss a business proposition. Whitmore Investments has offered me a position as their chief strategy officer, but I wanted to give you first opportunity. Come back and work with me, Cameron. Like the old days, we made a great team. The room suddenly felt too small. Sophia could see the history between Cameron and Alina. The shorthand of people who had built something together, who understood each other in ways that couldn't be taught or learned overnight. I'm honored, Cameron said carefully. But Sterling Enterprises is where I belong. I've built a life here, a future. I'm not interested in going backwards. Lena's gaze flickered to Sophia again. Because of her? Because of a lot of reasons. But yes, Sophia is part of my future, and I'm not going anywhere that doesn't include her. Elena's mask of professionalism finally cracked, revealing genuine emotion underneath. Cameron, we had something special. We understood each other's ambitions, our drive, our vision for success. Don't throw that away for infatuation. It's not infatuation, Sophia said, her voice stronger than she felt. It's love. And unlike whatever you and Cameron had, we're not afraid to fight for it. Alina turned to her, eyes sharp. You're very confident for someone who's only been with him a few months. I spent 3 years by his side, building an empire. What have you built? A relationship based on honesty and trust, Sophia replied. Something you apparently couldn't manage. Cameron's voice cut through the tension. Alina, that's enough. I appreciate that you thought of me, but my answer is no. To Whitmore, to revisiting the past, to everything you're offering. I'm exactly where I want to be. Alina stared at him for a long moment, and Sophia saw genuine pain cross her face. Whatever Alina felt for Cameron, it wasn't simple ambition or nostalgia. It was real. I see, Elena said quietly. I hope you know what you're doing, Cameron. Not everyone gets a second chance at success. Success isn't measured only in profit margins and market share, Cameron said gently. I've learned that recently. Elena nodded once, then turned and walked out of the office without another word, as soon as the door closed. Sophia let out a breath she didn't know she'd been holding. Cameron immediately wrapped his arms around her. You were incredible, he murmured into her hair. I was terrified. You didn't show it. Sophia, I'm sorry. I should have warned you about Elena, about our history, about the possibility that she might return. Sophia pulled back to look at him. Did you love her? Cameron considered the question seriously. I thought I did, for a while. But looking back, I think I loved the idea of her, the partnership we had, the success we achieved together. With you, it's different. You challenge me to be better not just professionally, but as a person. You make me want to live, not just succeed. She was right about one thing, though. She does understand your world better than I do, maybe, but she doesn't understand my heart. Only you do that. The grand gesture that night, Cameron called Sophia and asked her to meet him at the office. She arrived to find the entire executive floor dark, except for Cameron's office, which glowed with soft candlelight. Her breath caught as she entered. Cameron stood in the center of the room, surrounded by flowers and candles, wearing a suit but with his tie loosened, looking both nervous and determined. What is all this? Sophia asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Choice, Cameron said. Actually, the easiest choice I've ever made. He crossed to his desk and picked up an envelope. This is my resignation letter from Sterling Enterprises. I've already signed it. Sophia's eyes went wide. Cameron, no. You can't leave your company because of me. I'm not leaving because of you. I'm leaving for you. There's a difference. He set the envelope down and took both her hands. Elena's visit today made me realize something. I've spent 15 years building a company, proving myself, chasing a version of success that looks impressive on paper, but feels empty in practice. But Sterling Enterprises is your life's work. No, Cameron said firmly. It's my professional achievement. My life's work is finding someone who makes me want to be better, who challenges me, who sees past the CEO title to the person underneath. That's you, Sophia. You're my life's work. Tears streamed down Sophia's face. You don't have to resign to prove you love me. I already know. Cameron smiled and pulled her closer. I know I don't have to. I want to. I want to start something new, something that's ours together. I've been offered a partnership at a venture capital firm that specializes in sustainable energy startups. It's innovative, exciting, and most importantly, it means I'll never be your boss again. We can build a life together without any complications, without anyone questioning whether our relationship affects your career. But what about the board? The investors? Everything you've built here? I'm recommending Lucas Chen as my successor. He's brilliant, and he's been ready for this position for 2 years. Sterling Enterprises will thrive under his leadership, and I'll finally be free to live my life on my own terms, with the woman I love by my side. Sophia was crying so hard now she could barely see him. I love you so much. But are you absolutely certain? Cameron reached into his pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. Sophia's heart stopped. Sophia Martinez, you are the most extraordinary woman I've ever met. You're brilliant, courageous, and kind. You make me laugh. You challenge my assumptions. And you've taught me that real success isn't measured in quarterly earnings, but in moments of genuine connection. I don't want to be your boss, your mentor, or your colleague. I want to be your partner, your husband, your equal in every way. He opened the box, revealing a stunning ring with a simple diamond that caught the candlelight. Will you marry me? Sophia didn't hesitate. Yes. Yes. 1,000 times yes. Cameron slipped the ring onto her finger, and it fit perfectly. Then he kissed her, pouring all his love and commitment into that embrace. When they finally pulled apart, both of them were laughing through their tears. I can't believe you're really leaving Sterling Enterprises, Sophia said, looking at the resignation letter on the desk. Effective in 3 months, after we ensure a smooth transition. But yes, I'm really leaving. Because you're worth more than any company, any title, any amount of money. You're worth everything. They stood together in the candlelit office, holding each other as the city lights twinkled below. The road ahead would still have challenges. There would be people who judged them, who claimed that Cameron had thrown away his career for a woman. Who said that Sophia had broken up a potential reunion between Cameron and Alina? But none of that mattered. What mattered was the choice they had made. Together, to build a life based on love rather than convention. On partnership rather than power dynamics. On genuine connection rather than professional achievement. 3 months later, as Cameron handed over the keys to his office to Lucas Chin and walked out of Sterling Enterprises for the last time, Sophia was waiting for him in the lobby. She had resigned as well, accepting a position at the same venture capital firm where Cameron would be working. In a completely different department, where their relationship would never be an issue, they walked out into the Chicago sunshine hand in hand, ready to start their new life together. Behind them was the past, with all its complications and doubts. Ahead was the future. It's uncertain but filled with possibility. Alina. Winters watched them leave from her new office at Whitmore, Investments across the street. She felt a pang of regret, but also a strange sense of peace. Cameron had made his choice, and while it wasn't the choice she had hoped for, she could see in the way he looked at Sophia that it was the right one. Sometimes love meant letting go, and sometimes it meant fighting to hold on. Cameron and Sophia had chosen to fight, and in doing so, they had won something far more valuable than any business success. As the engaged couple disappeared into the crowd, planning a wedding and a future filled with love, laughter, and equal partnership, they both knew one thing with absolute certainty: rejecting that resignation. Letter had been just the beginning of the greatest adventure of their lives. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this story. If you enjoyed this content, don't forget to click like. Share this story with your friends and family, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on more meaningful stories.